What it do, fam? What it do, fam? We are back with another weekly deal breakdown. It is indeed Crumps week, so I got our brother Miles Dukes back for another round, or your first round, but this will be the
What's
first
going
of many.
on?
What's going on, man? How you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Good, brother. Good. Well, quick little intro here, man. This is our weekly deal breakdown. Every week, Crump and I break down a deal that we have closed, funded. The money is in our bank account. This is what week is this, Chris? 36.
36.
Week number 36 of our deal breakdown. I am Charles Standback, the A to Z one man band wholesaler. Love doing the entire process from marketing to closing to dispo to transactions to money getting funded. Crump, tell them a little bit about what you do, brother.
Yeah, I'm 100% dispo. We're instead of being direct to seller, we're direct to wholesalers. We're helping newer wholesalers and established companies like Miles, the one he represents, to do their dispo form. So they can focus on everything else. But we do this nationwide, and Miles is with Justice Cash Buyers with Aaron Bevins, pretty much his right hand man, and we've done a handful of deals so far, multiple hundreds in front of us, and super excited to have Miles on because yeah, he's a stand up dude outside of the business, inside of the business, and this deal is it's a roller coaster, so it's going to be fun to talk about.
Hell yeah, and he can hoop. That's always a plus.
Yeah, what an
Miles, tell us about your wholesaling journey, man, and how you kind of got to this point yourself, brother.
So I mean, dude, I literally started almost 2 years ago. Pretty basic. Aaron put a post out on Instagram. I hit him up and basically fanboyed in his DMs, um, and just tried to shoot my shot at the position, bro. I remember making an interview video and like sending in my resume and just like following up like crazy, just trying to trying to figure out if I was a good fit. So
Yeah.
yeah, man. So he brought me onto the team. We grew pretty rapidly. I was locking up deals then pretty frequently, and then now we're to the point where we've expanded even bigger. So now I'm managing a team of my own, training a team of my own, and pretty much handling and running the JCB company. So yeah, man, it's been a roller coaster. It's definitely been really progressed a lot farther and a lot faster than I thought it would. But I mean, it's exciting. It's exciting
Yeah.
working with Chris and Charles. Like, bro, you guys are amazing. So this is super cool to be here.
Bro, happy to have you here, man. Happy to have. I'm sure this will be the first of many, man. Aaron's great. Both of you guys are awesome. Obviously, I'm the coolest person on this stream right now, and but
Just came back from the beach, like
I'm kidding. But seriously though, man, happy to have you here, bro. I'm excited to break down this deal. So first thing I want to know is where did this lead come from? Did it magically appear in your inbox? What you got, Chris?
yeah. I had a question real quick before that on Miles and your background. What were you doing before you jumped into wholesaling 2 years ago?
Good question.
I did a little bit of everything. I think I was right before this. I was in school for. Oh, I got my mortgage license. I just got
Okay.
my mortgage officer license, and then I was doing security part time while studying and preparing for that. So I didn't even really tap into that before I just like got into wholesaling. So I got a whole license, paid all the money, did the class for nothing, um, and just took the opportunity. But I mean, I will say I don't regret it. I don't regret it. I learned a lot, and I feel like I bring that knowledge to acquisitions and my team every day. So it only helps. So
It seems like when I asked you that question, you almost forgot what you were doing 2 years ago, like it was a lifetime, a lifetime.
it feels
It
like
feels like it, right?
it. Feels like it.
I love it. I love it. So let me ask you this question, and then we could jump into the deal. Why did you choose 2 years ago to jump on a team, an established team, someone who's got that track record, rather than go through the bumps and bruises and do this on your own and build something out like that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, no, not to anybody who does it that way. I mean, if anything, more power to you because I know I've seen the grind. Like Charles will tell you, it's a different type of beast, different type of animal. But at the same time, I just thought, I would much rather get somewhere where I could learn and just soak up as much information as possible I'd actually gone to a couple of Aaron's events and just sat in the back of the venue, taking down all my notes and then really just learning and then doing my own research, of course, after the events were over and really just trying to figure out like where's the best way to get started in this. And then it just so happened that I saw the opportunity get posted online, and then I just, like I said, I shot my shot with no experience really, and he really just I want to say first like 6 months like locked in with me, training me every single day, making my dials with me, helping me refine and get my script skills sharp and my underwriting skills, and I feel like that 6 months is what made me like a master. And then I became super sharp in all areas of it, and just doing it to the point where I was doing everything like myself, like communicating with Chris, and then locking up the deals and helping dispo the deals, and then like helping others JV, and then so just everything grew really, really fast, really, really rapid, and like now I'm teaching the rest of the team to do it without Aaron at all. So like it's super duper cool, man, super cool.
Yeah. It's very early in you and Aaron's story, but it's already off to a really good start, and I can't wait to see where you guys take it.
Dude, thank you.
Couldn't be two better dudes, man, doing this business together, I'll tell you.
Agreed. Kick us off, Charles.
Yeah, man. Well, I love to know where deals come from. I think everybody out there is probably imagining that they just pop up in your inbox. Here's a perfect deal for you to sell, and here you go. Is that how it happened for you, or how did you end up with this lead?
So where did this deal actually come from? This deal came from what's your homeboy's name? What's his name?
My homeboy or Chris's homeboy?
Yours, Charles.
Luis.
There we go. Yeah.
You think Charles, Luis.
If you think Charles, you think Luis immediately.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I know Charles knows him. I just can't think of his name.
Yeah.
But man. So I don't know if it was a like a language barrier thing or how this deal got brought to us. But Aaron basically threw it on to me. And I got the seller on the phone after talking to Luis, and he kind of just explained to me the situation.
Yep.
I don't want to get into too many details like ahead of time, but yeah. So Luis kind of like brought the deal, just explained to me the situation, and it was like, here, bro. Like I've kind of tried to give her an offer already.
Yeah.
She's not really, like listening to me. And he kind of just gave it to me and told me to take it over. He told me his numbers. I ran my own, of course, and he kind of just handed me the baton, and that's how it went.
Yeah, for sure. And I love working with Luis for that reason, man. If he brings you a lead, he'll do whatever he can, but he's kind of like, hey, like, do your thing. Whatever you got to do to get this done, let's make it happen. So I appreciate that about Luis. So he brings this to you, man. You give the seller a call. What's your initial feel? How's that initial conversation go?
Oh man. She is a character.
Okay. A little bit of a personality.
Yeah. She, not much pushback, but you could tell like it was a frustrating situation for her.
Mm-hmm.
How far do y'all want me to go ahead? I don't know. I don't want to
give us the sauce, man. What was her issue? What was she frustrated about? I mean, how did you calm her and get her to kind of build some trust with you? All that good stuff.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. So man, this situation with her was her son's girlfriend's mom. So
that lives there or that owns the house?
That was living there, like renting from her.
Okay.
So it became a situation where I'm gonna just call her in-law because basically that's what we were. Her in-law wasn't paying, stopped paying the bills, and it became a tough situation because she just wasn't. She tried to kick her out, tried to evict her, and it just didn't work. And then it got to like a weird. It made the in-law was making it weird for her because their kids were together. So it was like a weird situation that she kind of just wanted to leave alone and not deal with.
Yeah.
But as we know, banks still want their money. They don't care about the situation, and she was getting calls. So she expressed to me, this is the situation. I don't really want to deal with it. If you guys can get her out, then I mean, basically it's yours.
Yep.
She didn't want an exorbitant amount of money. She didn't really care for how much she was going to make. It was more like I just want to wash my hands of this.
Yep.
But I don't want it to be at the sake of my son's relationship.
For sure.
And I obviously don't want a foreclosure on my credit either. So like I'm just at like between a rock and a hard place because she didn't know what to do.
Yep. She's in a tight spot. And this is what we mean by we're deal finders, not deal creators, man. These are the type of situations where we can actually help people move on from where this is our bread and butter as wholesalers, helping people through these kind of tough tenant situations and life situations. So you're the man for the job on this, it sounds like.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I mean, to like put it simple, like I just did a lot of listening. I mean, I didn't do a lot of talking. It wasn't a situation where I really had to like negotiate with her, but I really wanted to make her feel heard because I feel like we all get that seller who just starts telling their story and then it's just on and on and on, and then they tell you stuff you don't need to know, stuff you might need to know, rarely stuff that you want to know, and then it's like you're just listening, and so yeah, I'm just collecting information, and then she's like, at the end of it, she's like, this is her number, let's see what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
So then that takes me to the whole opposite side. We get her to sign the contract. She agrees to everything. And the contract we put obviously contingent on us being able to get the seller out because she didn't want to be responsible for whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, that was fine, of course. So now I'm switching lanes from being, caring and courteous with my seller to the tenant now. So now, of course, being that this is a family situation, the tenant has a whole nother story.
Two sides to every story, isn't it?
Yes. Tenant has a whole nother story. She's paid on time every time. Never missed a payment. They had an owner finance contract in place that was illegal, but if we sued, then we're in breach of contract. But the contract is illegal anyway.
Okay.
And she wanted like $50,000 because that was the amount that she had been paying over the course of like 10 years. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, man, this house is only worth like 60. Y'all owe about 70.
So, right.
Somebody's not giving some money here. So yeah, I mean, we did everything we could. We listened to her side. We offered her cash for keys.
Yep.
Aaron even got on the phone with her, and she was just difficult. One day she was up and she was agreeable and she was starting to pack. The next day she was like, you know what? I'm getting this burst of energy and I want to fight you guys in court. And I'm not going to let this go. I'm not going to let this go. You'll be talking to my lawyer.
Yeah.
And we did talk to her lawyer.
Yeah.
And
so how did that go? What did they actually have an owner finance contract? What was that conversation with the lawyer like?
So the conversation with the lawyer was basically, she sent me over a copy of the contract. And when I don't even like using contract for this because it was literally a piece of paper. They wrote the terms, her name, the seller's name. We're in contract. The house is going to be owner financed. Will be paid off by X date. The amount of the payments, and then they just wrote their name and PIN, and that was it. It was literally on like a piece of notebook paper.
Okay, which can be real as a document. So I mean,
laminated and notarized, I will say.
Okay.
But here's where it got tricky, because the contract was between our seller and the in-law's ex-husband, so it wasn't her name on there.
Okay.
So that's where we got a little bit of grace from the lawyer. Well, because I asked, like, this guy's name it was Hector or something like that. Mm-hmm. Who's this guy on here? Because, the tenant who I'm dealing with, it's a woman. So that finally came out that this was her ex-husband, and that behind the scenes, she was trying to rally him and get her on her side so that he could, fight this for her. But it didn't go that way.
Right.
And then eventually the lawyer just told us, like, she's not going to be representing her in this case anymore. if we aren't going to pay, then the $50,000 that she thought she was owed from her payments over time, that she's not going to move and she's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So outside of the lawyer conversations, we tried to level with her again. Like, look, technically we don't have to pay you anything.
Right.
It's not your name on the contract.
Yep.
This agreement was between your ex-husband and our seller. So, I mean, technically, we don't really got to do anything for you. But even still, we understand the situation.
Yeah.
Understand you have a family, and we're not just trying to kick you out and take your house. And we offered her, cash for keys. Like, here's $1,000. We can help you source moving. We can help you source, maybe throwing some stuff out, any junk removal that you need.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even Chris talked to her. Remember Chris when you reached out to her? And he was like, "Don't contact me."
How was that, Chris? What was your angle there when you had to reach out to the?
Well, we were just trying all angles, right? So at this point, we had already had a buyer engaged when I was talking to her. So when Miles sent it over to me for dispo, we knew the situation. Difficult tenant, probably not going to be able to show it. It's a mobile home, a newer mobile home on some land. So it is a desirable property, but it's not a desirable situation. Yep. At the time, we were under the assumption that we were working toward having her vacate the property before closing. Yep. So I was able to pitch it, sight unseen. You're not going to get a walkthrough, but you are going to get it vacant at closing. Yep. It's a mobile home. Rehab should be, you should be able to guesstimate what a mobile home is, even if the tenant tore it up. Yep. So we found a great buyer. We got him on the deal, and then the tenant, it became apparent that the tenant was, she wasn't going to accept cash for keys. She wasn't going to do anything. Yep. So we first presented it to the buyer. Hey, here's the situation now. The tenant doesn't want to move out. She's not accepted our cash for keys. We thought we had some momentum there. So now the scenario is, do you want to take it on, do the eviction yourself, and we leave that out of the seller's hands, because the seller absolutely does not want to do that. She doesn't want to go through the time, the process of, the pain of it all. He didn't really want to do that either. However, he was open at the time to keeping that tenant on for a while. We told him the story. He said, hey, I'll have a conversation with her. If we can agree to some terms, I'll keep her in the place. I won't even, worry about flipping it for the first year or two. So she can try her next thing. Yeah. And he was willing to go there and meet her and have that conversation. He was a super nice guy, and he was just going to see if they could come to an agreement. So at that point, everybody else had tried, and we were like, okay, well, I told Miles, can I call it? Maybe just the fifth person she talks to, it'll work out. And that's all I was going to do, is I was going to tell her, hey, I've got this guy. He'd like to come meet you. He's going to be the new owner of the property. He wants to keep you in there. We understand, this is a tough situation for you. So we're trying to give you the best solution possible. We've offered you a couple $1,000s to move out. We've done this and that. We're trying not to evict you, because that's going to be the worst case scenario for her. She didn't answer my call. I called her twice. She didn't answer my call. She texted me and said, who is this or whatever. I gave her like 2 paragraphs. I try to be like straight to the point. And she said, not interested. No need to call further. And I was like, oh, we're trying to help you.
Right. And this happens all the time with tenants, man. They've lived in these properties for 10 years, 15 years. I mean, it's tough. They feel like it's their house. They don't feel like it's owned by somebody else. You know what I mean? So
especially when there's a family tie there.
Yeah, and there's family ties. People have no idea how expensive it is to actually rent these places now. So it is tough as a tenant to go through this, but it is what it is sometimes.
Yeah. And it's our job, Miles's job, to try to be that bridge of communication, because again, that seller doesn't want to be calling her son's girlfriend and kicking her out and making it difficult. So it was on Miles to be the, kind of the peacemaker and make it happen. But tenant didn't want to do it. Buyer was up to meet her. Tenant didn't want to meet the buyer. And so then we represented it back to the buyer. Tenant's not like it is. She doesn't want to meet you. Yeah. What do you want to do? And he ended up saying, sorry, tenant is too combative. Seems like a headache. I don't even want to take on the eviction myself. And so then it was on Miles to have that conversation with the seller, that our capital partner / buyer didn't want to move forward with keeping that tenant and evicting, which he had the right to do, because we had at the beginning thought we were going to have it vacant, agreed to have it vacant.
For
So
sure.
now
For
we've
sure.
got a new situation, and he didn't want to step into that. So, yeah, Miles then had to call the seller, and how did that go, Miles?
I mean, about as bad as it could. I was not looking forward to that conversation. Just disclaimer. So I let her know, like, look, basically we can't do anything. We can't move forward. She doesn't want to work with us. You don't want to enforce like anything. And at this point, man, like just to give you context, like where the seller's head was at, was super like defeated. The in-law had started posting stuff on Facebook about her, trying to kick her out and how she was doing her dirty and just all this stuff. So she was just like, man, like, what are y'all doing? Like, you told me you would handle it. And I told her, I was like, I mean, there's nothing we can do. Like, I can't stop her from posting things.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want to leave. So she was like, well, can you guys just buy it like with her in there? And I was like, well, we tried to go that route, and she doesn't want to cooperate
At all. Yeah, she's
Yeah, won't give access. You can't. Some people will, but Justice Cash buyers didn't want to be the buyer buying a property without walking it with a difficult and Miles.
She was just so like wishy-washy. She was like, one day it was like, okay, well, I guess I'll start packing. The next day it's like, no, like this is my place. Like I'm gonna fight for my right to live here. And it was just like, man, like you think you get there, and then like she just like pulls it away.
Give you a little bit of false hope, you know what I mean?
So I eventually ended up just going over the seller, like how our memorandum process goes. Like, look, I don't want to do this. I don't think you'll do this, but this is just something we can't move forward with right now. Now, should you try to, sell this, do another venue or another way, we do place memos on the property so that, it protects our interest. And oh, Lord have mercy, she did not like that. She was like, well, what do you mean? That's illegal. Like, why would I still have to pay you if somebody else agrees to buy it? And I was like, because, we fulfilled our part of the contract. We were ready to buy it, ready to close. Yep. And, you promised to deliver this property vacant. And even though, I said I would handle it we've done all we can. And she just wants to be difficult. And at the end of the day, you are the owner of the home, and it is your responsibility. So that's how we're able to do that. That's how we're able to protect our interests. And, that way, if it's a situation where it's not our fault as the buyer, then, we still get paid.
Get a chance.
And so, she was like, that's illegal. Like, I can't believe you guys would do that to me. And I was like, well, I'm not trying to do anything to you, but as a company, it's just our policy. This is how it goes with transactions that don't go our way.
Yep.
So after that, she just ghosts me. We filed the memo on the property, and we don't hear anything. We don't hear anything for what? But how long was it? Like 2 months, a month and a half?
Yeah. So I looked at my text with the buyer. So we assigned it on March the 6th.
Okay.
We canceled it with the buyer on April 11th.
Okay.
And then buyer just signed, and then we funded yesterday, technically. Buyer signed on Friday, so July 11th. So 4 months from when he first signed the contract to when we closed.
Wow.
That's crazy, man. So you're like, this is out of your head. This is gone. We'll never see this again, is what you're thinking. Yeah. And when does the seller reach out again? From her ghostum, she comes back to life.
Father's Day, actually. I was with my family. We're at dinner, and I get a text, and she's like, "Hey, do you still want to buy my house?" And I'm just like, "Who is this?" Like, I get those texts all the time. Yeah. Like, who is this? And I'm like, yes. Right. I'm not in my records right now. Can I ask who this is? Yeah. She's like, it's Trisha. My property is blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh yeah.
For sure.
Can I ask what happened? Like, what changed? And she was just like, the tenant ended up leaving. She left the place a mess. But I remembered what you said about the memo, and I know I can't sell it anywhere else anyway, and I know you really tried to help me. So is there any way you guys will still buy it? And I was like, I mean, yeah, of course. I said the price might be different now, but I can we can take a look at it.
Yeah. And just for the people that don't know, really quickly, what is a memo or a memorandum?
Oh, okay. So a memorandum is basically when the seller is in breach of contract. So in this situation, she didn't deliver the property vacant to us, the buyer. We are allowed to put a memo on the property basically stating that if they try to sell it, list it and sell it that way or sell to somebody else, it protects our interests, ensuring that we get paid the, I think, projected revenue that we were supposed to get paid on the original assignment.
Yep.
So basically just like putting I guess, what would you call it?
It's a lien, really. Like
a lien. Yeah,
just file it with a lawyer, and when they try to sell it to somebody up, it'll pop up in the title report. Hey, you can't sell it unless you go talk to Big Daddy Miles over there to get this thing, off, right?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, so like a lien. So she kept that in mind. So I mean, just as a tidbit, guys. I mean, if you ever run into a situation like that, don't be afraid to put that memo on there. Because in this case, I'm pretty sure she wouldn't have even been thinking about us had I not made that very clear to her. We talked about it the next day, and she told me, she was like, "Look, I don't know what the condition of the property is. I haven't been. We had gotten pictures from the tenant before, and I mean, it wasn't in the worst shape. So my hopes were pretty high. Like, okay, I mean, what could she really have done, in this amount of time?"
Yep.
So I tell Chris. Yeah. So I tell Chris, and Chris, you want to take it over?
Yeah. So those are texts. Yeah, those are texts you like to get where you had a deal fall through, but you had a buyer eager to buy it. And I mean, I asked Miles the same question: what happened with the tenant? He tells me she's gone now. And then for me and Miles, it's just kind of like almost a bummer because we did want to help the tenant. We offered her, do you remember? I think we got up to $5,000. That I might be wrong, but we offered her a good amount of money to move out and to, stay on her feet and continue with her life. And, she was in a hard situation. So sometimes you make the wrong choices, but she ended up declining our offer and then ultimately still got kicked out. And so we had to go and find our own property, but we had the property vacant now. I called the buyer. Buyer's ready to go, cash buyer. Said, absolutely, I can close on it as soon as title is ready. And reordered title, got it ready to go. And then within 2 weeks from that seller probably contacting you to close, we got it, maybe 3 weeks, but yeah, we got it done. And the buyer, go ahead.
What was the condition? Was it worse when you guys got it back?
Yeah, the buyer ended up walking it. Said, I mean, it's still a mobile home, so rehabs don't get over the top. But he ended up coming down on price. I think $5,000, maybe a little bit more.
Okay.
It did eat into our assignment, but at that point, it was rural. It wasn't somewhere with a strong buyer pool. We didn't want to go out and remarket it again and take the seller's time. We already had the right buyer. If it does come down to our assignment fee, then it is what it is. But let's get this one to the finish table. So, we once the seller re-engaged with us, everything else moved rather quickly. And I'll pull up some pictures. So it was these were previous to
the tenant leaving. What was so Miles? Where did you have this locked up before, and then where did you lock it up when she came back?
I want to say we had it at. Let me see. Let me think here.
Oh man, that ain't bad at all. What the hell?
Mobile home on land. So we assigned it, Miles. We assigned it for $88,000. I think we originally had buyer at $98,000. So he came down $10K because of some subflooring issues and something else. I think the roof, but so we assigned it for $88K for a $13,000 assignment. So you had her at 75, Miles.
75 second time around. I want to say the first time it was like 80, and he was at 98. So I mean, it was a obviously a bigger deal before.
Yeah.
The house was in a lot better shape.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, like Chris was saying, it wasn't something that we wanted to like remarket all over again and have to go through
Yeah.
all of that stuff with the seller. And I really just wanted to get it done as quick as possible too, because I kind of felt like, I don't know, like
Anything can
I
happen,
didn't want
man.
to back out for anything. I didn't want something to come up. I didn't want them to come back into the house. I was just like, nah, like let's just get this done.
Yeah, for sure. That's a tough. You don't want to get too greedy in those situations. You don't want to get too greedy in any situation, but especially not one where your seller is a little shaky. The situation was shaky, and you've basically been given a gift here because that deal has been written off by both of you guys at this point, right?
Yeah.
You gotta take that gift and run with it. So I love it, man. You guys end up making $13K on this. Were there any other title issues or anything else that came up from when the seller came back to closing, or was it smooth sailing after that?
I mean, we did have an additional $9,000 lien that cut into our selling proceeds.
Yeah.
So that came up during the title search the second time around.
Okay.
She was not aware of it, so when I remember getting that news and getting that text and seeing it on the HUD, and I was just like, "Dang, man! Like if there was anything, to come up, and that could happen, it happened on this deal."
Yeah.
So I had to have that conversation with her, like, okay, when's the last time you checked out the mortgage on this property? Okay, well, I know my mortgage is $67,000, something like that. Okay, well, we're reviewing the information that title sent back over, and it looks like you have a $9,000 lien on the property. Well, and she was just like, "What? Like, what is that from?" And I was like, "Look, title didn't give us exactly what it's for, but I'm just showing you and making you aware because, as you know, we have this locked up at $75,000.
Yeah.
So you owe 63 or 67, excuse me, plus 9.
You're not making any money, sweetheart.
Not getting any money. To make sure it was clear, and she was like, I mean, I could go through all of that and fight with the title company and fight with my mortgage company, but I'm not going to. At this point, I just want to wash my hands of the situation. And I'm just like, thank God, thank God. And I was like, look, we'll eat it up out of our assignment. I don't care. I just want this thing to close.
Yeah.
But that was a moment where my heart was like, man, like, oh no way, you're telling me there's a lien, like, but and it worked out. It worked out. She was okay with not getting any money, and just having this wiped off and being able to wash your hands of it. So
it all worked out. Some peace of mind at the end of the day, and that's what's most important to a lot of people when it comes to these deals, man. Well, I applaud you both, man, for one, doing everything you could to try and help that tenant and help your seller, and being prepared to move quickly once it came back around. And like, even though she was a little upset about the memo, like obviously she trusted you guys enough and appreciated your efforts from before enough to like return and work with you, right? You didn't leave too bad of a taste in her mouth about it. So congratulations to you guys, man, for the deal coming back around and actually getting it to the closing table. What are some things? What are the main thing that you learned from this deal, Miles?
I would say not to write deals off just because they don't go your way. When you sign the contract initially, and to definitely just be not an option, but just have a good experience with your seller. I feel like had I just been about making the money and not caring about her situation, she wouldn't have came back to me the second time around.
Yep.
So not writing deals off, actually, being resourceful and trying to be a resource and not so much just about, how big my assignment fee can be.
Yep.
That's what's going to stick out to your sellers. That's what's going to make them come back to you in situations like this. And at the end of the day, I mean, it feels really good that, I know that she came to me with this problem. And even though it didn't go as quick as we wanted it to, at the end of the day, she's leaving without having to worry about this anymore. So.
Yeah, for sure. I can appreciate that. What about you, Chris? What was your learning experience on this one?
Yeah, mine is. Miles is his persistence is what sticks out to me in this deal.
Yeah.
He went above and beyond in every way possible to service that seller, to service that tenant the best that he could, to even service me as his dispo partner. To try to set it up as best as he could, and to stay in communication, be transparent about every update that we got. I mean, it was literally like, hey, Chris, she accepted the $1,500. She'll be out in a week. And then 2 days later, she's got a lawyer involved again. We're not going to, have it clear. So that kind of stuff happens. As much as it sucks, that kind of stuff happens in wholesale real estate. So long as I'm being informed and I can then take that to my buyer, we're doing the best we can. So his persistence stuck out to me. And then also on the back end, having a really great buyer ready to go. One, you have a deal that they really like, they're hooked on, and ready to go. That buyer, he made sure that I knew he'd be ready if that tenant ever, was out of there or became a different person, but he would be ready. He wanted to see that deal again if it ever popped up. And as soon as it did, he was easy. He was easy to work with, and that goes a long way. You don't want a difficult seller and then a difficult buyer, because you're probably not going to end up at the closing table. But for sure, it was Miles' persistence, and then just having a buyer of higher quality.
I love it, man. I love it. For me, I mean, the biggest thing I can take away from this, brother, is just the sheer teamwork that was involved in this. I mean, you guys were selfless enough and didn't have any pride. You were willing to have whoever, right, jump on the phone and give it a shot in order to get it done and provide the best experience. So even having a buyer ready to go talk to the seller about, or the tenant about staying, like, you guys really showed some true teamwork on this. And that's what this business is all about when it really comes down to it. So kudos to you guys, man. I appreciate you guys sharing your story. Obviously, Miles, hopefully this is the first of many times that you'll be back on and sharing another deal with us. Any last thoughts before we bid the people farewell?
I'll tease something real quick. So Miles, Aaron, and myself, less so myself, but we've got a new dispo channel that's gonna really blow some things out of the water and increase some assignment fees and our capacity to sell even more deals. We'll leave it at that, but both should do a lot for Miles' company and then any of my dispo partners as well.
Okay. Little cliffhanger there for us. You know what I mean? Something
Direct message me, and I'll tell you more about
it.
Wax.
I love it, man. Anything else you want to say to the people, Miles?
I mean, I'll piggyback on Chris. I mean, it's definitely something that is probably going to change how dispositions is done. It's definitely going to maximize us as a company, maximize Chris's company, and it's just, and we're like probably one of the very few people that even have access to this thing. So, I mean, if you guys are trying to get some deals moved, you got our info. So that's all I'm saying.
I love it. Well, I'm excited to see and hopefully participate in some deals to get moved, man. As always, keep dialing, keep hustling. If you have any questions about this deal or wholesaling in general, don't hesitate to reach out to any of us. We're all open books when it comes to this business and looking to help as many people as we can. So that's deal breakdown number 36. Appreciate you guys. Peace.